What you see going on here is not only have I proven um, the opposition view a bunch of corrupt, very evil, very vile trash, but I've also made it clear that I'm a superior being to them, and that doesn't sit well with them. For people who are humble, they probably don't care about it too much. Specifically, the opposition view on the highest level, of course they care. They're very egomaniacal. Um, they're egomaniacs. Um, it's interesting what Jindal was pretty much calling Donald Trump today in the news. He said he's a narcissistic um, egomaniac. Not in those words, but close enough. It's pretty much how most of these people are. With this richness comes this kind of cocky, kind of business attitude, and they see themselves as above other people on the top level. So for me to point out that they're not as wise, which is the highest form of intellect, as someone such as myself who lived with his parents, that I'm a greater warrior than they ever were in their entire life, whether they're younger or not, it doesn't sit well with them at all. It also doesn't sit well with the people who don't like me. So the main people who don't like it are the opposition view, whether they're rich or poor, and the super rich, with ego issues. So, that being said, we look at the challenge, the top martial arts challenge. I think this is very relevant. It's probably become more relevant than I ever thought it would be when I first made the challenge. When I first made the challenge, I expected that I would probably have, within a year, I probably expected around probably 10 people to have not only accepted and shown up, and probably another 5, 6, or 7, or maybe twice as many. So I expected about 20 not to accept, and about half of them at least to show up. And I've pretty much had probably about 22, 23 that accepted, from the best of my recollection. And only one of them that has shown up. And every one that I've seen in action who didn't show up, were worse than the guy that showed up. I think it's safe to say that almost everyone who accepted would have lost to the challenger that I won 10-0. And I think that's very interesting to note as well. Ultimately they didn't show up because they know that they would lose. It's like that one guy, Deontay Wilder, beat up, He's the troll. It's very interesting how they try to compare me to that guy. I forgot his name, some white guy, right? He was shorter. Deontay Wilder was taller, So I'm basically the big black guy with the trophy, the champion, grand champion title as well. And they're the ones who are that white guy. And they're a mix between that white guy and a regular troll, Some of them are regular trolls, some are that white guy who, made these claims that he could beat the champ but couldn't. It's pretty bad when you always. I think in martial arts you always see things of people saying, "Well, I know someone who could beat this guy," blah blah blah. And when it really comes down to it, for someone like Cain Velasquez or Mayweather, it's a little bit more realistic because let's say you did know someone who could beat this person, or that you at least believe could beat this person. They can't really fight Mayweather. You can't just sign up on a sheet and say, I want to fight Mayweather, in a month, and then you get to fight him. No. But you can come up to me anytime or comment anytime and schedule a match, So when it comes to my challenge specifically, it is the most realistic way to prove that you're the best, and there is no exemption. You could be as long as, you could be a 12-year-old kid. If I think you're dead fucking serious, and I'm gonna say, okay, well, you know what? I'm gonna beat you on camera, and I'm gonna make it clear, it's gonna be a lesson. There's not gonna be any. I'm not gonna be like, oh my goodness, I won, and be all proud of myself. But the point is, you could be a 12-year-old fucking female who the black belt who thinks she's the best. You could be a fucking an Olympic champion. It really doesn't matter who you are. You can accept. So anybody who says anything about this challenge, A, they don't understand martial arts, okay? Period. whether they say something along the lines of, well, sparring doesn't prove anything. You don't understand. Okay, on the highest level, sparring does prove something. Now, you can't beat the greatest at sparring and suck at fighting. When you are the best at sparring, you are the best at fighting. And I'm not going to waste my time explaining that. To make a long story short, the same skills you need at sparring are the same skills you need fighting. You know, and what makes someone hit strong goes back to force equals mass times acceleration. You know, I'm fucking 200 pounds. You know, when someone 200 pounds can accelerate quickly, it's a powerful blow. You know, it doesn't take a genius to figure that one out. Also, it boils down to sparring, self-defense, fighting skills, and hand-to-hand combat, percussive skills. So, and this is really what martial arts is about. So when you say specifically you're the top martial artist, not the top archer, you know, at archery, not the best marksman, and not the best shooter, not the best sniper, but the top martial artist, not the best tank commander, pilot, what have you. You know, then that's what it is. When you say UFC, you may as well be saying WWF. Okay, you have gloves on, you have feet. It's designed for a few cool blows to get thrown, maybe a few cool kicks, and then for people to go on the ground and try to, you know, tap the person out. Pretty much every fight I believe I've seen has somebody won by tapping the guy out. When you see that happening, obviously it's designed to be like that. In a street fight, I don't think I've ever seen. I've seen many street fights, bar fights on YouTube, in person. I've never seen anyone tap anyone out. You know, I have seen somebody knock somebody out by getting on top of them and hitting them. I have seen that. But what I've seen most of the time is someone knock someone out or someone beat someone up till they don't want to fight anymore. Say, I don't want anymore. You know. So, and even those kinds of fights don't really prove who's the top martial artist. It proves who's the best at a fist fight, who's the best at a street fight, and there's a difference. And I don't really want to go on about this, you know. When you're the top martial artist and you definitely understand what it means to be an martial artist better than anyone else, it gets very annoying. I believe that most of these trolls know that I'm the top martial artist in America, and they're just being annoying. I don't think there's any way to say that, you know, it's ridiculous. Because you got to realize, if the tables were turned and somebody offered me this same challenge and this money, you know, I would show up. You know, it's not like I'm telling you come to my gym where you're going to get pressured and everyone's going to be... I'm showing up by myself. You know, that's why I require that the challenger now shows up by themselves. I'm showing up by myself. You know, it's more risky for me, the guy with the money, than the challenger. There's more pressure on me. I have more reason to be worried than the challenger. You know, and so it's... And plus I have more to lose. If they lose, they lose. If I lose, then this top martial arts challenge I've been going on and on about, you know, you can understand quickly how many of these trolls are from California, some of them are from San Jose, and for them to say all these things, like, oh, whoop-de-whoop, then why don't you find somebody? Especially if they pretend to be someone who's like, well, I do this martial art or that martial art. Well, find somebody at your dojo or your gym. You know, for them not to be able to is conceding my point. To lose concedes my point. To fail to accept my challenge concedes my point. There's only one person that I've known of with all my looking into martial arts and all this. I'm the only person who's done this. I've made a challenge that determines who's the top martial artist by saying this is the challenge to beat. 10 hits in 1 second. 10-0 defeat. It is kind of irony. I didn't think about it before. I'm 10 out of 10, right? 10 hits in 1 second. 10-0 victory. I'm the last victory. And then 10 times 10 is 100, right? So over 100 victories, 0 losses. You know, I mean, there is no really way to say that this challenge is not a top martial arts challenge, because it also opens the door for, well, if somebody beats me, and you know, I'll upload it, win or lose, because I'm gonna make a video and I'm gonna put in the comments saying that there's a challenge coming up. So then I'm gonna either prove that this person called it off, or I'm gonna post the fucking the match, win or lose. So then it opens the door for that person now to have the title of the top martial artist in America, and for someone to want to beat him. And there might not be money involved, but it opens the door for a tradition. You know, it creates a tradition of proving who's the best in the American population. And so, you know, I really don't see how anyone could be, you know, just like I said, you know, back then I said, you know, sportsmanlike conduct will be applied generously, but you'll still lose. You know, I knew that I was going to be victorious and no one was going to beat me, you know, ever. And we're almost 2 years later, you know, in 3 months, it'll be 3 months and 10 days, it'll be 2 years exactly. And nobody, I repeat, nobody has beaten me. Tons of people have vested interests in making me lose. They troll me, they cyber attack me, they stalk me, they drug my food. Okay? And they could try to play that, well, he's crazy, he thinks they're drugging his food, then why don't you beat me? You know? You're gonna act like everyone is like, oh, we don't wanna take advantage. Yeah, I'd hit 10 hits in 1 second. Whether or not you think I'm crazy or not, there's 10 hits in 1 fucking second. Okay, very few people can fucking do that. There are other people that can do that. Very few people can do it, and even fewer who are my height. The distance for me to cover in that fucking 1 second is a little bit longer than the distance that you have to cover in the same amount of time to do 10 hits. You know, when you look at it by distance, there's very, very few people who can move that fast. And when you think about everything, it's like, yeah, you know, and the way I beat the challenger, 9 of the points I scored were punches. Most of the punches that were thrown by him. So you can't say, well, it's because he's short. If him being short played into the, you know, was a major factor, then how come he threw more punches than I did? Implying he was within his range when he threw them. You know, and there's a whole lot of reasons why I did the techniques I did and whatnot. I'm not going to break it down to you. But anyone who truly is a great martial artist will look at him and be like, yep, he did the right thing. He did the smart thing. That was a clean win. You know? And so, I think it's very disgraceful. That's one thing that I've seen this whole time. It's very disgraceful what I've seen from other martial artists. I've seen a lack of them celebrating my victory. You know, a good sportsman, a good martial artist can say, you know what? He's the best, and I respect what he's doing. I don't think that's ever happened. I see bitch-ass excuses. I see a bunch of MMA crybabies saying, why don't you fight in the MMA? Just completely missing my point. You know how many times on Facebook and on YouTube I've explained in the comments and in videos? Probably around 50 plus times I've explained exactly why MMA fighting or UFC fighting is not a true martial arts competition. I talk about the gloves, I talk about the feet, I go to Merriam-Webster, I go to Wikipedia, and I give you definitions, common definitions, official definitions of what martial arts actually is. I go into how, you know, it comes from the god of the Mars, the pagan god of Rome, the god of war in like the 1500s and so on. I go on and on about exactly what is the definition and why I'm correct and how sparring is the most commonly used form to determine who's the most skilled at martial arts. I go on and on how everyone does sparring, even jiu-jitsu guys, and on and on. And you just see this appalling, this extremely detestable lack of honor in the martial arts community. And it just goes back to reverend power, how people in society, in a country that's 76% white, it's fair to say that there's mostly white people that are doing this, who lack the honor. You know, mostly white people, and there's got to be a lot of Asians because martial arts is commonly done by Asians, and they lack this honor, this very basic honor that you have when you say, you know what, he's the best, or you know what, I can't beat you, I concede your point. You don't say that. They don't have the honor to do that. Instead, I've blocked 50 plus trolls this year alone, related to the martial arts challenge alone. Nobody wants to accept. Everyone wants to. I say, well, why don't you accept? Why don't you accept? I always ask, why don't they accept? Why don't you find somebody? They got nothing to say about it. They just want to troll and try to make it seem like I'm not right. You know, they try to make it seem like, oh, you lost it. How the fuck did I lose that match when I won 10-0? Oh, he owns you. What the fuck are you talking about? If this was a knife fight, I would have fucking killed him, whether it was the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, or 10th fucking exchange. You know? This was a street fight, he would be dead. I'm out of time, but you know, it's just very sad how you people just fail to grasp what martial arts is and what being a warrior is. Thank you.